And welcome to another episode of the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast on Stables Media, take two for Sunday, June 27th, 2021. My opening statement, the Detroit Tigers just keep on, I don't see my screen at all, but anyway, at least I see mine on my own. But anyway, interesting offseason coming ahead for the Red Wings and Pistons, while the Tigers are just being the Tigers, just hanging on to fourth place. And a little Megatron speaking on the Lions. Plus, Michigan gets a good recruit, a much-needed quarterback. Ed, what is your opening statement?
Boy, oh boy, I could not wait to deliver these words, especially in light of the news that we've seen this past week. And
the Pistons.
And don't spoil it for me, man. I was just going to get right into the bill. But anyway, my opening phrase is to borrow a certain phrase or, paraphrase one that was once said, basketball is back in the Motor City as the basketball gods have for once shined good fortune on our Pistons. And I'm telling you right now, I could not be any more ecstatic than what I am right now.
Frank, how about you? What's your opening statement? Oh. Hey, Frank, I can't hear you.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay. I must have hit the wrong. Okay. My apologies. I must have hit the wrong button. As I was saying, as excited as I am for the Pistons finally getting some luck in the NBA draft lottery, I have to say that the Tigers using some fundamentals to win a baseball game in extra innings today just is that much more exciting for me, just because of a lot of high school coaches I have been around who would do the same thing in a similar situation, but I'm sure we'll get to that later.
All right. Can you guys see my camera now?
Negative.
Nope. Negatory.
Yeah, forget it.
Yeah, we can still hear you loud and clear though.
Yeah. So anyway, apologize for the technical difficulties. I'm not sure why this is happening. I'll have Vasu contact StreamYard or something like that. But anyway, before we get started, we want to remind everyone that the show and all its topics and segments are sponsored by the Viget Sports mobile app, where great fans cover. Sign up with the referral code STABLES with a capital S and with a capital S and the rest of the letters being lowercase, including the letter B in the middle, as in billionaire. Download the Viget app, available on the Apple App Store and Google Play. Sign up with the referral code STABLES. First off, the Pistons win the NBA draft lottery and thus get the first overall pick. And the newest and latest mock draft appears to be point guard and shooting guard Cade Cunningham from Oklahoma State, which appears to be a lock because the Pistons appear to be the first and only team that Cade Cunningham has visited as of right now. So, Ed, I know you're excited as you are. Frank, I know you are too. We all are. Ed, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Frank. Ed, the Pistons, there's no way they could trade that away, can they?
Yeah, there is so much to delve into in regards to how everything came together, what the instant reaction was, and what now the anticipation will be from this point on until next month's draft. So first and foremost, I think the positive reaction that Pistons fans shown all across social media, whether it be Twitter or YouTube, there was a video of Jalen Rose showcasing his excitement as well. Not to mention the fact that you're getting, I remember even seeing a video of, I think it may have been during the middle of a Tigers game, that they showed video on the big screen at Comerica, the graphic that said that the Pistons had won the lottery. And even though there weren't that many people there, you could feel the energy of the reaction from the crowd. So that was a sense of knowing that how much, not just it meant to Pistons fans, how much it meant to Detroit sports fans, period. When you consider the awful luck that not just the Pistons, but also the Red Wings have had in recent years, in regards to the draft lottery, missing out on those once in a generation type of players or at least in the Pistons case, that has happened to them when you consider the fact that they've been boned numerous times in the draft lottery, not being able to get a chance to say, take a Zion Williamson or take a Luka Doncic or take a Trae Young. Obviously they've had their own miscues, passing Donovan Mitchell for Luke Kennard, not drafting Giannis Antetokounmpo, many others. But when you consider the fact that now you're in a position to take that once in a generation type of talent, um, obviously there's going to be some calls, there's going to be some offers, there's going to be speculation because there's nothing that people in the media love more than to talk any type of content or to make any type of narrative that gives them something to talk about. And I think this is one of those instances. Yes, Troy Weaver is going to be looking at any and all options, as you should, because I'm sure there may be a team that may come in at the 11th hour and give you a big offer. But for my money, if you're telling me that I'm going to get the basketball equivalent of, let's say, what the Washington football team did to go and get RG3, or what Mike Ditka did to get Ricky Williams for the Saints, I'm not going to hear anything else other than that. Unless you're telling me that Dallas is saying, yeah, listen, we'll give you Luka. Or the New Orleans is saying, listen, we'll give you Zion. Unless I'm going to hear something so ridiculous as that, do not call me about trading no pick. That's that. We won that pick. We had the picture perfect season of how to pull off a tank. We deserve that pick. We're not trading it. I would not trade it if I was Troy Weaver. As to who you want to get, it's interesting. Because remember, this is going to be the first time you're making a number one first overall draft pick in 51 years when you took Bob Lanier. This is the first time also that you've moved up in the history of the draft ladder instead of staying at one place or going below. So there's a lot of pressure and anticipation of what's going to come from this pick, not just from the media, but also from the fans as well. Obviously, there's still scars over what happened in 2003 with picking Darko and so on and so forth. But with the talent that's available at the top of this draft, there's really not too many places where you can go wrong this time around. And to me, it comes down to two choices. It's either going to be Cade Cunningham, which I think it should be, and I think a lot of people believe it will be as well. Or if you want to get fancy, if you want to go a different option, I think if there's one different player that you would select other than Cade Cunningham, it's Jalen Green. To me, even though he is not the all-around type of player that Cunningham is, whereas Cade can give you scoring ability, he can get to 20 a game, he can give you solid defense, he can give you versatility and court vision to be a facilitator and a playmaker at the same time. Green gives you more so of, he may not be that 5-tool type of guy, but he has one tool and it's pretty damn good. Prolific scorer, knows how to just get his own points. And if he gets on a roll, he's one of those type of guys where you would love to have in any type of situation, whether it be, in a late regular season game in March or a crucial playoff game in June. So weighing your options, knowing which quote unquote fits better with your team, what fit goes better with what kind of rebuild you're trying to put together. To me, if you were to ask me, I would still say Cade Cunningham because he has been regarded as the consensus number one overall pick for quite some time, and for damn good reason. The tape is there, the numbers are there, everything that we need to know and see of is there, and the fact that Cade is going to be was already known that he was going to be working out with only one team and one team only. That was the team that won that number one overall pick. It turned out to be Detroit. And that is, I'm pretty sure Cade and his team and everybody around him believes that he is going number one no matter what. And knowing that I just said that I don't think there's really a high, frankly, even a moderate chance of Detroit trading that pick, I think they're going to stay where they are. They're going to make the most common sense move, in my view, and take the absolute best player available, a guy that can fit in the backcourt with Killian Hayes, can make other guys around him look better than what they already are now, and can get his team involved. And to me, the choice is clear cut, and it's Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, it is Cade Cunningham. Nails it down. Frank?
Well, I have to say that I was extremely excited when I found out the Pistons got the number one overall pick, because how many times have we seen them fall in the lottery? Same deal with the Red Wings too. And it's nice to get a sense of hope for one of the teams in the city. We've seen what Troy Weaver has done drafting in the past, and now year 2 of that era, he's going to get the consensus #1 overall player in Cade Cunningham to add to a really nice nucleus of Killian Hayes, who I hope can stay healthy, as well as Sadiq Bey and Isaiah Stewart, who both made the NBA's all-rookie teams, mind you. So there's that. And as for this whole trade chatter, I mean, I did hear a little snippet from the Low Post podcast from ESPN's Zach Lowe about how a team like Oklahoma City might call up Weaver and say, hey, we'll offer you 9 of our first-round picks over the next 5 seasons, or however many first-round picks they have, because I know that Sam Presti has accumulated a ton, and for that #1 pick. And I would say, no way, no how, no sir, because a lot of those first-round picks that Oklahoma City has have protections on them, and you don't turn away a chance to draft the consensus #1 player who we pretty much mentioned is at the same table of talented as a Zion Williamson, as probably a Luka Doncic or a Trey Young.
Devin Booker.
A Devin Booker even.
I mean, listen, he's even gotten praise from Kevin Durant. That all you need to, that tells you all you need to know about Cade.
Exactly. Hey, and I know people are gonna say, "Oh, well, he's not LeBron or Anthony Davis." He doesn't need to be. He just needs to be Cade Cunningham. And the fact that he says he's only going to work out for one team and one team only, and that is the Detroit Pistons, that tells me all you need to know, that he's excited to come here and play his game and put on a show and bring some hope back to the city and bring Pistons basketball back to where it should be. Now, I don't know if it's going to be, we'll call it the Bad Boys Part 3 or Go to Work Part 2, but you know what? I can say it after a long time. It's great to be a Pistons fan. And also, one more thing I would like to add. I know I've seen a lot of people saying, well, the last time the Pistons had a top 3 pick, they took Darko. That was when Joe Dumars was one running the show. And I would trust Troy Weaver over Joe Dumars 7 out of 7 days of the week, twice on Sundays.
Hands down.
Yeah, I mean, just don't get me wrong. I got love for Joe D, but yeah, there was some quite quizzical moves, to say the least, that he made during his tenure as general manager. But if I could add anything onto this point, Frank was making some good points of how, Cade was excited about finding out that the Pistons won the lottery. And the fact that I can also let you guys know that Sadiq Bey has already got in contact with him. Coach Dwayne Casey has talked about Cade's ability, as well as Troy Weaver as well. But there's also his coach, Cade's coach at Oklahoma State, I believe, even mentioned and congratulated the Pistons on winning the lottery and just said, frankly, this is the kid, you're in for something special when you get him. We're referring to Cade. So I think, despite all the smoke and mirrors that we're going to see pop up between now and next month, I think it's clear Cade wants to be here. He wants to play here, and he feels that, hey, he can be part of something that is special. He has mentioned himself that, listen, in terms of player comparisons, he compares himself to Luka Doncic. That's out of his own words. And I think in terms of that all-around ability to, yes, not just be a scorer, but also be a guy that not only gets his teammates involved, but makes them look better as well. He's basically Ben Simmons with a jump shot. Or frankly, Ben Simmons, who's not scared to attack and try to score the ball, let alone shoot the ball. So if we can get that kind of effort, that kind of output, and a ceiling comes more comparable to Luka Doncic or Devin Booker, frankly, you've hit the lottery. You've hit the jackpot if you were part of the term here. So I can't wait to see him draft this kid. I can't wait till you hear Adam Silver say, with the first overall selection of the 2021 NBA draft, the Detroit Pistons select Cade Cunningham. It is going to be one of the happiest moments I've ever seen. And frankly, I'll tell you guys right now, if I ever get the chance, I'm going to get me some Pistons tickets this year, just on the fact that knowing that this kid more than likely will be coming in. But I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till the draft. Don't want to count all your chickens before they hatch, but once we have official confirmation that yes, Cade is going to be coming here, yeah, you better believe me. I'm going to be, whether it be online or whatever, I'm getting me some tickets to at least see a couple of Pistons games this year, because I want to see for myself in action, up close and personal, this type of rebuild that we're getting, and for once, a true once in a generation talent that's here in our city playing for our team. Instead of having to look on national TV, look elsewhere, we can look right here in our own backyard. And I am, again, if you can hear it in my voice, that shows you how pumped I am. And again, how excited and ecstatic that I am that the Pistons got this right. Finally, for once, they got one.
Yes, they did.
Very well said, Ed.
Mm-hmm. So those are all the details of Cade Cunningham being a lock for the Detroit Pistons. Now it's only a matter of time. So, speaking of the Pistons, forward Jeremy Grant already committed to playing for Team USA about a week ago. So, congrats to him on that. Ed?
Listen, between Jeremy Grant looking to possibly get himself a gold medal this year, the Pistons getting the number 1 overall draft pick, Ben Wallace making the Hall of Fame. Oh, and Blake Griffin got eliminated in the second round of the playoffs. Yeah, this makes me one of the best months of my entire life as a Pistons fan, bar none.
Yeah. Frank?
I think I could say I'm just as ecstatic as Ed for getting the number 1 pick, seeing somebody from the team represent Team USA at the Olympics, and also Blake Griffin get it, and the Nets getting knocked out too. It all feels good. And I know I said it before, but I'm saying it again. It's a great time to be a Pistons fan.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The Pistons are going to be back. May take some time, but just got to cross our fingers. Transitioning to the Lions. Patrick Walker from CBS Sports writes an article headlining from last week. Calvin Johnson wanted to finish Hall of Fame career elsewhere, but the Lions blocked it. They wouldn't let me go. So Calvin Johnson saying he wanted the Lions to trade him or release him. They wouldn't. And the ending to Megatron's story is much different than that of Matthew Stafford. They let Matthew Stafford go. Calvin Johnson said that it is what it is. They traded Stafford, but they didn't trade me, quote unquote, but it is what it is. So we're going to go to Ed and then Frank. Ed, just to recap, this is all solely on the Lions just because they felt like they desperately needed Calvin to help them push for a playoff spot at least when they had Matthew Stafford at the same time, just like they desperately needed Stafford at the same time. Ed, go right ahead.
I'll go one step further. I'll go one even further back. Remember of how the whole, everybody remembers how Barry Sanders and his career ended, how he left the team, the effects and all that. Let's not forget also that one of the reasons that Barry did leave, and even revealed this, inferred it himself just a couple of years back, was the fact that, he was trying to get a trade himself. He was trying to get a trade somewhere to a contending team that he knows for sure would have given them as best a chance as possible to compete for and win a Super Bowl. Now, I believe I know for sure one team was the Miami Dolphins. That was one team, and I think an agent, another story that I read also said that the Raiders even tried to contact him. I believe that was around the time that John Gruden was still head coach. So imagine Barry Sanders on that team with a future MVP in Rich Gannon, an absolute stud standout, one of the best wide receivers ever in Tim Brown, and John Gruden at the helm, making sure the offense and the defense were at their top of form. Oh, yeah, by the way, Charles Woodson on defense. Yeah, that was a team that if he's there, he stays and plays a couple more years, maybe they win that Super Bowl in 2001 and not the Patriots. Think about that. But getting off track slightly, it doesn't surprise me because this is what the Lions franchise, unfortunately, they've always been. They have mishandled and mangled the opportunities and careers of some of the best players who have ever played the game that they were fortunate enough to fall ass backwards into. Okay, they're fortunate to be in a high draft spot to draft Barry. Same thing with Calvin, same thing with Stafford, and even same thing with Ndamukong Suh. And they managed to waste every single one of them. You know, in the case of, it certainly got to a point where practically all of them, in one shape or form or another, said they had enough and they wanted out of here. Stafford and Barry retired. Suh left for free agency, and eventually Stafford got traded. So, unfortunately, it's just another indictment
Calvin
on
and Barry
the.
retired.
Yeah, like I said, they retired. Suh left in free agency, and Stafford got traded. So again, it's another unfortunate indictment on the type of legacy and ineptitude that the Lions have produced over the past, 60, 70 years now. But again, that was still mainly when was it? I think it was after the old man died, but not Sheila, Martha was in charge. And yeah, it doesn't surprise me now. I think with Sheila at the helm, we will hopefully get to see much better reconciliation. Hopefully, it doesn't take as long as it did for Barry when he left the team. I think it was right around the time that he got inducted into the Hall of Fame. That some things started to get sealed. Some wounds were starting to get healed, and eventually, now you see he's back with the team, back with the franchise full time as their ambassador. So I don't know how long it's going to take for Calvin to get to that spot. He is clearly in obvious no rush. There is, I think, some resentment, I believe, on Calvin's part. I think it's justified in my view, especially when you consider the fact that, hey, I still wanted to have a chance to play for a championship. You wouldn't let me. So yeah, I think he was more than justified with his actions then. He's more than justified in showing some of his attitude, if you want to call that now, because they wasted his career and then they trying to hang on to him like they own him. Like, hell no. So, but he's in a better spot now. He's got his wife, he's got his kids, he's doing his cannabis business, he's healthy with his sanity and his brain's intact, thankfully and hopefully. And and look, now he's a freaking first ballot Hall of Famer. So I would still say, even though yes, I would have loved for him to keep playing, even let's say if it wasn't for my team, let's say if he got traded to New England or whatever when Brady was still there, or to another contending team that wanted to have a clear shot. I would have loved to see that happen for him. He's one of the best players to have ever played, would not won a Super Bowl, let alone play in one. But he's content and satisfied with his career and his legacy, and frankly, his life in general. So hats off to Calvin. But yeah, I'm not surprised by that story at all. But I do hope, again, for reconciliation by these two parties somehow, some way, and sometime.
Yeah. Frank just shows how how inept the Lions were at that time.
Well, if you guys are looking at me right now, this is my shocked face. So that's pretty much all that I can really say, given the fact that they've mishandled Calvin like they mishandled Barry. I mean, look, he wanted a chance to go get a Lombardi trophy, and you know what? As a fan, I wouldn't have faulted him for it. I would have said, "Hey, thank you for all you've done for the city of Detroit. Thank you for all you've done here. Go get your ring." It's the same stance I had when Stafford was traded. There wouldn't have been any ill feelings from me or probably any other fan, mind you. But the Ford family is just going to do things their way, which always seemingly is the wrong way. Hey, but again, the fact that they do this just not surprising.
No, not surprising at all. So let me see here. Let me go to the banner. Yep. So the Lions, speaking of which, they have hired their first ever mental skills specialist, Dr. Michelle Garvin from Maryland. Former Carolina Panthers scouting department member Mike Martin as Director of Scouting Advancement, Don Corzine as Senior Advisor, and Jordan Martin as Area Scout. So, guys, the Lions have made changes to their scouting department, and they've hired a doctor as a mental skills specialist. So, Ed, what are your thoughts on that?
It's intriguing news to show of how not just how things are going to be different in key spots in the front office, but all around the board here. I hate to use this word because it sounds like a buzzword, but it really does feel like they want to implement a true culture change. Well, this is really the way to do it, especially with the hires that they made and now this new position. Which I think is also something to not overlook, because I think mental health in sports does not get the attention that it should or frankly it deserves. So it's good to see some attention to awareness on this aspect by them making this hire. But yeah, I think it shows, again, an example of what they're trying to do, an absolute true culture change. And they're not trying to be this team or be that team. They're trying to be themselves, be their own makeup, their own DNA, but doing it the right way. And when you consider the fact that minicap is wrapped up, you got people saying, that Jared Goff has found himself a comfortable target in TJ Hawkinson. You're hearing upbeat things about the offensive line. And not to mention the fact that, hey, the coaching staff has apparently got 100% fully vaccinated recently. So again, that's another good sign. Tip of the good news, thumbs up to share. So things are looking up and up. I know I hate saying that because how many times have we said that in regards of what the Lions could potentially bring, only to get let down time and time again. But maybe that's me being the foolish optimist, but I see something different. It's not a sense of, oh God, what is this? When I got from watching Patricia, it's a far different feel. I can't put a finger on it, but it's an absolute 180 from what I saw from the last regime. And if you want to add a minor tidbit on the end of this, there have been talks, of course, going on for weeks of the Lions potentially trying to add Todd Gurley. Now, I don't know if it's official or confirmed yet, but I did read a couple reports saying that he has or is going to sign with the Baltimore Ravens. So at the very least, that would shore up concerns some people may have had of, hey, are they trying to overload the running back spot, because you already got DeAndre Swift, you got Jamal Williams, you got a bunch of other guys already. So was this too much? I mean, the fact that you had to cut Kerryon Johnson made people believe that maybe you're doing this to go after Gurley, but that didn't happen. So we'll see where they go from there. If they still want to try to add another running back or to just go adding depth somewhere else.
All right. Frank, what are your thoughts?
Pretty similar to Ed in terms of the people that the Lions have added. I mean, especially their mental skills specialist is someone who myself is a mental health advocate, and I know how much we have emphasized good mental health over the times we've been on the show. I think this is good just to kind of take care.
And voila.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So let's see. Now I can't see Frank. Can anyone see me?
Yeah, we can both see you.
All right.
At least I can. I don't know about Frank, but
wow. Frank.
I think Frank just froze. His feed just froze.
Oh yeah, Frank, you're gonna have to leave the studio and come back. So again, we apologize for the technical difficulties. Anyway, while we wait for Frank to come back, why don't we transition to the Tigers? Frank, yeah, I think you.
Taylor, we got you back, man.
Yes. Can you see me?
Yes, finally we could see.
All right. Yes. Thank God. All right.
Oh man, technology gremlins.
No, it's not. I would never say that BS. That is not even funny. I don't take anything humorous at all, to be honest with you. But we got it back. At least I got myself back to you guys. So Frank, start over on the Lions' new regime, please.
Well, as I was saying, I think the fact that they brought in a new mental skills specialist shows that they're really taking a strong approach to players having good mental health. And since we're all advocates of good mental health, I think that's very good. And also, different scouts as well shows that they're willing to change the culture in terms of scouting and who to bring in and who to look at and things like that. But I'm pretty much in the same boat as Ed.
All right. So now we transition to the Tigers. They took 1 of 4 in Anaheim last weekend, and then they sweep the St. Louis Cardinals in 2 games, 8-2 and 6-2. Casey Mize last Sunday wasn't too great, but wasn't too shabby either. Just gave up the 3 runs, and the Tigers won that game 5-3 in 10 innings in Anaheim against the Los Angeles Angels. And then they, like I mentioned before, they swept the St. Louis Cardinals 8-2 and 6-2 when they return home Tuesday and Wednesday. And then the 4-game series against the team with the best record in baseball, the Houston Astros. The Astros took the first game by domination by a rout 12-3. And then Friday's game got rained out. Saturday they had a doubleheader. Casey Mize started game 1, 6 innings, 1 run on 6 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, got the win in a 3-1 win. And then in game 2, Wiley Peralta started. Only lasted at least 2 innings. But the Tigers had a 2-0 lead, and then Michael Fulmer in the 6th inning gave up 3 runs, blew the 2-0 lead. Alvarez, the 2-run tying home run, and then Carlos Correa, the game winner in the top half of the 6th inning. So doubleheader games are 7 innings, and then the Tigers in 10 innings beat the Astros 2-1. And going fast forwarding to the 10th inning, bottom half of the 10th inning, Baddoo was the runner to start the bottom half of the 10th inning after Gregory Soto got himself out of a jam in the top half of the 10th inning after pitching a 1-2-3 ninth. Baddoo started on second base. Jonathan Scope moved him over to third, and then Robbie Grossman, on what is called a safety squeeze, drove Akil Baddoo home with a bunt single, a safety squeeze bunt single on RBI to win it. So, man, just a thrilling way to win that game. So, Ed, we'll go to you first, and then we'll go to Frank. Ed, Tigers
interesting
still
week.
got a long ways to go, but
yeah,
just a thrilling way to win today's game.
Yeah, but I think a symbolic culmination of what was, I think, a wild week in many ways. Lost in the scope of things, I think, because there was so much attention being paid to Shohei Ohtani of the Angels because I remember there was a game last week. It was on YouTube. It was being the YouTube free game of the week for MLB.
Yeah, that was over a week ago, just a bit.
Yeah, but I don't think we got the chance to properly cover it as much on here since we didn't have the show on Wednesdays. I'm going to talk about it here real quick. Even though so much attention is being paid to Ohtani, lost in the shovel with that was Matt Manning making his major league debut. One of the other noted pitching prospects that we talk about a lot between him and Casey Mize, amongst others. So for his debut, I thought he handled himself pretty well. I thought he had some early nerves. You could see it in his face. He had to steady himself with calming breaths in between certain pitches. I think that led to his pitch count being run up a little bit. That led to him, issuing a couple walks, in fact, both of them to Ohtani, believe it or not. And, the Angels were able to use small ball to get a couple of runs out of him. It didn't help that his defense didn't quite bail him out in a couple of those situations where a run could have been prevented. It also didn't help that, when the offense does a good job of running up Ohtani's pitch count, Grossman having a solid opening at bat where he almost hits a leadoff home run at the start of the game, or Akil Baddoo hitting a double but then tries to stretch into a triple and gets thrown out. Those instances did not help out Manning, did not give him the support that he needed. And even though he had a fine outing, I thought, with 5 innings, only 4 hits, 3 strikeouts, and 2 runs given up, he still got the loss because his team was not able to properly set him up. And even still, when the offense still got going, then the pitching didn't want to do their part. So frustrating, a symbolic or a microcosm way of how that series in Anaheim was. But thankfully, Casey Mize, who, like you said, Taylor, he wasn't perfect when he faced the Angels, but still, he didn't have to be. He was still solid enough. I mean, listen, Ohtani got him with a home run. He's one of the best players in the league. He's going to do that to anybody. So
yeah, even Mize can't beat him. Ohtani's just too much.
Yeah, he's a damn good player. Okay, he's going to be in the All-Star game. He's likely going to pitch in the game and bat in the game. And in fact, he's even heading the home run derby. Like, even though I think some of the attention is insufferable at times, I get why they're doing it. He's on a team with Mike Trout, and he's also this extremely versatile player, so I get it. But Mize should not be really ashamed of giving up that home run because he still kept it together and he still pitched a solid outing to where his team got the win. And also, he then follows it up with giving up a run, an absolute gem of a performance against the Astros. So there's always that to look at from a certain perspective. And also another guy to not keep an eye on, Jonathan Scope. Scope has had himself a hell of a month in the month of June. He's got already 10 home runs. He's got 23 RBIs. He's got a lot of hits for this team to where he's been, frankly, their masher when they needed it for the most part of this month. I know Grossman has had himself an excellent outing as well. Talked about Aaron Haas with his progression development a few weeks ago. So now that we're seeing Scope get in on the things, on the good side of things in terms of his hitting, it shows that the development and how much the attention players that are taking in while listening to AJ Hinch as compared to Rod Gardenhire. And another key example of that is what we saw in the game today against Houston. You mentioned it, Taylor. I think that call came straight from the dugout to do the squeeze. Hinch just knew it was the right time and opportunity and moment. A guy that has the speed of Baddoo, of Akil Baddoo, with his speed, if you lay down the right bunt, he's going to get home. So that's we saw what happened eventually. So, and that right there is a stark difference between him and Ron Gardenhire, because I can't for the life of me think of one certain situation or one instance of that during his entire tenure where I saw Gardenhire try to implement that type of small ball or anything similar or close to that and doing it so successfully. I think you mentioned it before, Taylor, and I even said it myself, this is what Brad Ausmus was supposed to be. But we were also sold a bag of goods on that one. But again, say what you want about the cheating scandal with the Astros. AJ Hinch is a damn good manager. He knows how to coach players. He knows how to build them up, build up their strengths, and showcase their development. You're seeing it here already in just his first season with the team. Now, they're on pace to have a better record than what they did last year. And at the way things are going, some things fall the right way. Now, I'm not saying they're winning the division. No. At this moment, it's a clear distinction. Cleveland and Chicago are right here. Kansas City, Detroit, Minnesota, they're in the cellar. Those teams, those top 2 teams are at the ceiling. We're at the cellar. And so it's a battle to be who's going to be not at the bottom of the dirt. So at the moment, yeah, we're not too far off from third place, but we're also not too far from last place. So I think it's a matter of hitting your stride, winning your games against the Twins and against the Royals, that you help distinguish yourself. That no, you're not the best team in the division. No one expected you to be, but thank God you're not the worst, and you're making an improvement. So I think that should be the goal that they should set themselves out to do for this remainder, however many games they have left in their season.
Yeah, and AJ Hinch, no matter what, he is a strategy guru. So is Brad Ausmus, but the only difference between Brad Ausmus and AJ Hinch is AJ Hinch has a bigger sense of urgency, where Brad Ausmus had no sense of urgency whatsoever. Ron Gardenhire's already out of the question. And for Shohei Ohtani, you mentioned him. He's a damn good baseball player. He's the next Miguel Cabrera. That's how I see him. Frank, your turn.
Well, I think I'll start off with the series against the Angels. I mean, Matt Manning making his debut, I'll be honest, I was really worried that he was going to get knocked around a lot. But, he went out and did a nice job. I mean, granted, his defense didn't help him out too much, but still, I thought he pitched very well given the situation. And as for Casey Mize's outing where he gave up a run to Shohei Ohtani, I think that's when you just shake the man's hand and say, nice hit, because Ohtani is a unicorn. He's a generational type of talent who can not only rake, but he can pitch as well. And as for the Houston series, I said it at the top of the show, and I'm going to say it again. I just love, and I can't emphasize love enough, the fact that the Tigers decide to use some basic fundamentals to score the winning run. I've been around my fair share of high school baseball teams, one in particular, Blissfield High School, who I do public address for, and they put a heavy emphasis on bunting, and it's won them a lot of games, most notably their head coach, Larry Tuttle, who has over 1,300 career wins, mind you. But the fact that AJ Hinch decided to use a safety squeeze to get the winning run home, and that's something that you don't see too much of in today's baseball game. Everyone's like, oh, we got to hit the home runs or nothing. No, I want to see the ball get hit, put in play, guys running, doing little things to win a game. I don't care how you win it, just as long as you do what you have to do to win. Don't do what you want to do what you have to do.
Exactly. And AJ Hinch did what he had to do. And he thought of it, and it paid off. It paid dividends. The Tigers won the game. They're headed to Progressive Field to play the Cleveland Indians Monday through Wednesday, and then back home against the Chicago White Sox Friday through Sunday. They have Thursday off. Take on two other AL Central teams. Let me look at the where the Tigers stand in the American League Central Division standings right now. Whoa, the Tigers are tied for third place in the American League Central Division. Hang on, folks. Yeah. In fact, the Tigers hold that tiebreaker by winning percentage for third place. Tigers with 34 and 44, 436 winning percentage, 11 and a half games back. The Royals and Twins are exactly tied for fourth place, 33 and 43, 434 winning percentage, still 11 and a half back. So, man, third place is nip and tuck.
Yeah,
So,
and I think we need to add, too, that it's great to see that the Tigers have made those improvements necessary in terms of record and where they're at in the division. They're not in the cellar anymore, and I'm not saying they're going to go and win the division or they're even going to make a wild card.
No.
But you know what? If they can at least be competitive in games, just kind of be in the middle of the division, maybe even kind of make second place, think a little bit, and kind of just be like just on the outside looking in come July for a wild card spot, I'd call that successful.
Yeah, I would call that at least half successful, but still they got other things to clean up. But Ed, anything to add?
Not much other than, what was already stated. You see the development, you see the progress that's there, but this is not a completed project, nowhere near. You still got to plug in certain holes at certain spots. You got to figure out what to do once, Tariq Skubal gets up here. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Torkelson, excuse me. But yeah, it's not as bad. As long as it's not as bad as it was last year, and you see the little developments, the little improvement, that's all I need, at least for this season. Now, obviously, I'm going to be expecting more if this keeps up, but for now, I'm good with not being terrible for once.
There you go. Yeah, that's progress. It's probably going to take like another year. We never know. So we got even more Tigers to get off our chest. Justin Verlander told Evan Petzold of the Detroit Free Press that, quote, I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about it, which was a return to the Detroit Tigers. This one came just about an hour prior.
Wow.
Yeah, wow is right. Justin Verlander, he could surely replace either Jose Urena or Wiley Peralta. He can at least fill in a starting pitching slot, at least add a veteran arm to the starting rotation, add a returning one.
Well, there's many. I think there's many positives that we would see of what a Verlander return would and could look like. First and foremost, let's talk about the fact that he, it took him to the 11th hour to eventually decide and accept the fact that, listen, the best chance for his career going forward was to be traded. I know there was a part of him that didn't want to leave, but I'm sure, thankfully, he could look back and say, yeah, I'm glad I did, because I got a World Series ring out of it. Now I can say that I'm not going to be ringless, for my entire career. So there's that to look forward to. So knowing that he's got that hurdle, that Sisyphean task out of his way, he's more content now. He's practically done everything that he needs to accomplish in his career. He's got a spot in the Hall of Fame lined up, and he's going to go in, I would think, as a Tiger anyway. He just needed that little cherry on top, which was a World Series ring, and he got it with the Astros. But the bulk of that was built on his time in Detroit. He loves it here. It's through connections here. I'm pretty sure that's how he met his wife eventually, not just of the whole video game shoot, but the fact that Kate Upton is the niece of Michigan Republican Representative Fred Upton. So there's always that in consideration. I could see, like you mentioned, Taylor, Verlander being that veteran force, that presence I think he'd be a perfect mentor for Casey Mize, if you ask me. That's like, who better? Not some rinky-dink pitching coach, whoever else they bring in. What better guy to mentor you would be the guy that, frankly, was you before you were here. So I think he'd be great to help steer Mize and Manning in that type of direction. I think it would help bring more fans in attendance if you want to look at it from a business standpoint, because there was a lot of people, I'm sure, were saddened that JV had to go. They didn't want to see him leave, but they knew he had to leave. And I think if you tell them, hey, Verlander's back, they don't care how the team is looking. They'll go down to Comerica because they want to see their guy pitch again. So there's all these fundamentals things going into place. Plus, I'm pretty sure he still has a good relationship with the Illich family, so there's no ill will or hard feelings. It's not like Sergei Fedorov when he left the Wings. So I think if the Illich family, if you ask Chris about it, even cheapskate Chris, if you ask him, would you mind seeing Justin Verlander come back? I'm sure even he will tell you yes. So I'd be honest, I think, Taylor, I might have told you once in private, I've even said it on the show years back when it happened, when the trade went down, I would not be too surprised to foresee a scenario where Justin Verlander came back to Detroit, at least to finish his career, because I think even he believes, listen, even though I got my World Series ring, I need to end my career as a Tiger. That's where I grew. That's where I became a player. That's how I became the pitcher that I am today. It was busting my ass in Detroit for all those years. So I think at the very least, if he comes back, it'll be a solid and positive move. I think, frankly, will be received well by everyone around. Plus, remember that old movie, For Love of the Game, where Kellen Costner as Tigers pitcher Billy Chapel? Have you ever seen it? If you haven't seen it, please check it
I
out.
have.
Solid movie. One of my favorite movies ever. Probably the first DVD I ever owned. Getting off that point, I see a lot of similarities of how, if Verlander were to come back and have his career end with the Tigers, it could be a sort of Billy Chapel type of situation to where the rugged veteran closing in on the end of his career may not be, he may be past his best days, world champion and all of that, but still, he may have something left to at least give you one last final great performance. And I think if we were to see Verlander make a return to Detroit, knowing that fans are going to come out to see him, that's going to get him pumped. That's going to get him amped. And I think a motivated, on fire Justin Verlander can still give you at least one more good performance, no matter if you say he might have fallen off in a couple of years. Obviously, there's injuries he's had to go through, especially to his pitching arm. So again, that's another parallel to Billy Chapel, by the way. But yeah, I definitely would not mind seeing Verlander come back if and when that were to take place.
Yeah, and you mentioned Justin Verlander having a relationship with the Yelich family or something just like that, unlike Sergei Fedorov, who may never return as long as the Yeliches own the Tigers and the Red Wings, for instance. Frank, I want your thoughts on that and just the possibility of Justin Verlander returning to the Tigers.
Well, when I got the news that Verlander said that he is thinking about a reunion with the Tigers in the future, I mean, it definitely makes you feel good because you say, hey, he pitched so well here, 2 no-hitters, he won Cy Young, he won the MVP. This is where he really became who he is today. I mean, granted, he did win a World Series ring elsewhere, but still, I don't think it's really that huge of a surprise that he'd want to finish his career as a Tiger and, God willing, go into the Hall of Fame as a Tiger as well. I'd be all for it. I mean, and also, as Ed mentioned, and he can actually be that mentor to Casey Mize, Matt Manning, and Tariq Skubal. He'll just play like that fourth guy in the rotation, just kind of help them become better. And who better to learn from? I mean, granted, you already got one of the best pitching coaches who has come out of nowhere in Chris Fetter. Now you throw Verlander in. I think it's just going to really make things that much better.
Yeah. And by the way, Justin Verlander is in the final year of his contract with the Houston Astros, and he will become a free agent this winter. So, guys, you just never know. So that's Tigers. Now the Red Wings. Current Red Wings forwards Valterri, Filppula, and Darren Helm have uncertain futures with the team, according to Ansar Khan of M Live. It's headlined, longtime Red Wings Darren Helm, Valtteri Filppula face uncertain future. Here we go. The only players from the Detroit Red Wings' most recent Stanley Cup championship team who played in the NHL season face an uncertain future. Darren Helm and Valtteri Filppula have played a combined 1,335 games for the Red Wings, but might have appeared in their final game for the organization. Filppula, at age 37, almost surely won't be re-signed. So he's probably going to get the heave-ho, be released. It remains to be seen whether Helm, at age 34, will be offered another contract. So that's 50-50. Helm said late in the season that he wants to continue playing. He spent most of the season on an energy line with Luke Glendening and Adam Ernie, the club's most consistent and effective combination. Glendening, an unrestricted free agent, seems likely to resign with the only NHL club he has known. Ernie, a restricted free agent who experienced his best season, 11 goals, 9 assists, 20 points total, likely will be signed to a multi-year deal. Hey, I have no problem with that. The Red Wings might swap out Helm for a younger player like Giovanni Smith. He doesn't possess Helm's speed or checking ability, but brings a different dimension with his physical play and net presence. Smith no longer is waiver exempt in 2021 to 2022, so he will be on the Red Wings roster. So That's interesting to look at. Helm had 3 goals and 5 assists in 47 games and remained a regular in the lineup after it appeared at the start of the 2019-2020 season that his role would be diminished. Filppula returned to the Red Wings in 2019 after 5 seasons with Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, and the New York Islanders. He didn't pan out in his second stint in Detroit, posting a minus 42 rating in the 2019-2020 season and being a healthy scratch in 14 consecutive games from March 2nd to April 1st. But injuries provided an opportunity over the final 5 weeks, and Filppula took advantage with 4 goals and 6 assists, 10 points total in 17 games. Now, as we go to Ed and Frank, to recap, this article from Khan might have already mentioned what the Wings might do to Helm, but they also might let Filppula walk this offseason, as I mentioned before, prior to or come the free agency span starting in July, like late July after the Stanley Cup final. General Manager Steve Yzerman is continuing to shed the unnecessary long-term contracts that Ken Holland signed a few years back. Ed, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. You got to shed the old weaknesses, the old growth, in order to prepare yourself for the future bloom. And the fact that you got to let contracts like that expire to give you more cap space to say bring in more quality signings, maybe a big flash signee or two down the road. Knowing the fact that hey, this is a different regime in charge. This is not Ken Holland bumbling and fumbling things around. And like you mentioned, Yzerman is picking and choosing this carefully. I know he's already got some tough decisions about who to keep, who to get rid of, that sort of thing. Is he going to, is he going to have to re-sign Sam Gagner? Is he going to have to re-sign Bobby Ryan? Now you mentioned Filppula and Helm. I think it'll be more than likely to see those two leave, Filppula and Helm leave, and Ryan and or Gagner staying. I think that scenario is more likely than not. But again, it's all Yzerman's call at the end of the day. I would tell you this, even though, yes, I understand he's older, I would keep Filppula over Helm. I have more trust and faith in Filppula at this point than I do in Helm. It's nothing personal. I'll always remember the 2009 goal against the Blackhawks to send us to the finals. But I think it's clear his time has come, just like it was for Jimmy Howard before him and other guys before him. But if you want to say Filppula's too old, okay, sure. But correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't freaking Jaromir Jagr still playing in the NHL a couple years back? So don't tell me about age, okay?
But, that guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if Philps thinks he still has it, I wouldn't see him suit up for us again for another year or two. Because I think he brings a good calming veteran presence for these young players to learn and look up to. There's more than one reason why Yzerman brought him here from Tampa, essentially. So I hope they keep Val, but if he has to go, I hope he goes along with Helm.
Well, Frank?
I would say that if it was up to me, I'd say both players are probably going to be gone. Because Filppula, I'll always be thankful for his time here, but I think he's got way too many miles on his tires. And plus, I know that Jeff Moss of the Detroit Sports Rag has pointed out centers, once they get north of the age of 35, really can't produce anymore. So I think we've probably seen the last of Filppula in Detroit, and he's probably going to end up hanging it up. I don't see him playing until he's 40 unless somebody else offers him a deal or he goes back over to Finland. And Darren Helm, as Ed alluded to his time in 2008 when he was a member of the Cup-winning team and even his big-time goals in the 2009 playoffs, which I remember quite well. But the fact that Holland had to sign him to an absurd contract for 5 years or $3 million when he can't really produce for that kind of money, that tells me, yeah, you have guys like Giovanni Smith who can do similar things to what you do for a lot less. So I think Helm's got to go. Ed even mentioned guys like Bobby Ryan and Sam Gagne. I would say those are two most likely guys who end up returning in terms of unrestricted free agents.
Mm-hmm. So I think neither Filppula nor Helm would return to Detroit come next season. So we'll keep our eyes on them. That's Red Wings. Now one last headline we can scour before we wrap things up. Michigan Wolverines Football, their program has recruited a 2022 four-star quarterback, Jayden Denegal. We'll go to Ed and then Frank first. Ed, the Michigan Wolverines get a much-needed quarterback. You know, Shea Patterson's already gone. Good, go ahead.
Yeah, Patterson's gone. Joe Milton's gone. K. McNamara was essentially thrown to the wolves last year. So let's say that Denegal does commit, and you're looking at a possible 2022 situation of where you're looking at competition between McNamara, J.J. McCarthy, even if you want to say Valterri as well. But I think mainly between McCarthy and Denegal, that would be your two guys to look at the most for that 2022 spot. Because Denegal, I think he's 6'4", 215 plus pounds. So he's a good pro style QB with some size. I don't know how they may translate if he wants to implement a more or has to go through a different regimen of doing read options and more spread offense. But he's a pro style QB. Harbaugh loves himself some pro style QBs, so he fits right into what he wants in a quarterback. I do know for a fact also that he was pursued by Michigan State as well. So, he wasn't the only guy that was being coveted by a school in the state, as well as look at some offers from Auburn and Georgia as well. But hey, I always think and feel that competition is healthy. So a field with him and McNamara and McCarthy battling out for that starting QB spot, I think is a good thing, not a negative thing. And it's all comes down to who's going to be made the better quarterback win, but still be that next guy ready, because you never know what could happen, as we saw last year.
Yep. It's the beginning of a new generation in terms of the quarterback situation. Frank, anything to add?
Well, it'll be interesting to see how Michigan's quarterback room shapes up. I mean, I don't mean to jump off subject, but we should mention that Michigan State just picked up a commitment from Caton Hauser, who was an Elite 11 quarterback too. So both Michigan and Michigan State add an intriguing prospect to their quarterback room.
All right. Thanks for the heads up on that. So it's now time for our closing statement. Ed, what is your closing statement?
That basically, for once, it is nice to have hope. We've seen little sprinkles of it every now and then, because frankly, 2020 was about as low as it could get for a multitude of reasons. But now seeing some things that have sprung up since the calendar flipped, new regime, new head guy in charge, starting over fresh with a new quarterback, while giving Matthew Stafford the right chance to compete and win for a championship on his own, like they should have done with Calvin, like they should have done with Barry, but I digress. Seeing the little things that the Tigers are doing, seeing the developments of certain guys and spots, seeing your young pitching core having their own, growth experiences within the confines of their first MLB season, that sort of thing. Seeing improvement in record-wise from this year compared to last year. Same thing with the Red Wings, and knowing for the fact that you have good prospects of your own coming up, and you didn't get boned so much by the draft lottery this year. And speaking of the draft, the Lions, I felt, had a tremendous overall draft experience, especially with Penei Sewell. And then you bring it all home with the home run call of the Pistons winning the lottery, and more likely than not, picking this stupendous talent in Kate Cunningham. has me feeling something that I have not felt about the outlook of Detroit sports in a long time. Hope.
Yeah, hope is right. Frank, closing statement.
I have to echo what Ed said. There are signs of hope coming, not just in terms of our sports teams, but the fact that we're seeing a global pandemic go to an end. But going back to our sports teams, the Pistons getting the '1 pick, the Iser plan starting to take more and more of a shape as year 3 is about to kick off this coming year. See, July. Plus the Tigers starting to play better, and even the Lions as well. We've seen what's happened there. There's signs of hope for the city of Detroit, and you love to see it.
Oh, yeah. My closing statement, the Tigers still in a battle for third place, but like we've all mentioned, like we've all touched on, they've made improvements. They got a smart manager in AJ Hinch already. He proved another example. The Lions already paid the price for Megatron's demise. The Red Wings continue to cut their own fat, and the Pistons finally rejoice on winning the lottery for the first time in franchise history. Now they must hang on to that first overall pick because there's no way they can give it away in any way, shape, or form. And by the way, the Michigan Wolverines, I can't wait for them to name their new starting quarterback. So that's our closing statement before we go. The show is sponsored by the Viget Sports mobile app where great fans cover. Sign up with the referral code STABLES. Available on the Apple App Store and Google Play. Download the Viget app. Sign up with the referral code STABLES with a capital S and the rest of the letters being lowercase, including the letter B in the middle, as in billionaire. Guys, when do you want to do our next episode? Like a week from Wednesday or?
I should be good for a Wednesday episode.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine by me.
Next week?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, okay. Yep. All right. So, gentlemen, excellent job as always. Follow the show on Twitter, Periscope, and Instagram at Michigan_Truth, and like it on Facebook, the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. Until then, for Ed Smith and Frank Ventures, this is Taylor Phillips signing off. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DT2Phillips. Follow Ed Smith on Twitter and Instagram at EdSmith313. And follow Frank Vajner on Twitter and Instagram at Frank_Vajner, VAJCNER. Thanks very much for listening, downloading, and sharing. And remember, the truth is out there. TTFN, ta-ta for now. Power to the people. Hit them with a high, and we rest our case. And still, stay safe.